everyone, welcome to another wonderful edition of ARG Presents. I am Amigo Aaron, joined as always by a man who got a 13 in dexterity, but a 6 in charisma, the Brent.
If I'm the standard for 13 in dex, there's a lot of stupid people out there who can't walk a straight line.
There you go. So, if you joined us last week, we spun the wheel. No, we didn't. And we didn't make the deal.
No, you made the deal.
That's right. This, people power, fan choice. And this week, the fans have spoken, Brent. And boy, what a statement they made when they demanded that we play games from the exotic, unusual, rare, Wonderswan Color portable console from Japan.
I do appreciate they at least let us play the color version.
That's right. So what do you know about the Wonderswan series?
Before this week, nothing.
Not a thing, huh?
I mean, I knew it existed. I knew it was a Japan-only handheld. That was literally it. I didn't know who made it. I didn't know the games for it. I didn't know the history behind it. Are you going to fill us in?
Well, I knew very little myself, and so I did a little research.
Oh.
So let's have a little chat here about the old Wonderswan. So, and we're going to sort of group the Wonderswan and the Wonderswan Color together because in somewhat they're very, it's sort of like Game Boy to Game Boy Color. I guess,
some of the games were backwards compatible.
A lot of them, actually.
Yeah. Most, yeah.
So, the Wonderswan was manufactured by Bandai.
Yes.
Right?
Crazy, huh?
And it was released in Japan March 4th of 1999. The Wonderswan Color came out December 9th of 2000, right? And then the third Wonderswan, this is the one that no one talks about because I guess it didn't do that well, the Swan Crystal, released July 12th, 2002. So these things were in the market from 99 to 2003. They had, now listen to this, I found this interesting. I had to double and triple check this because it seemed so insane. The Wonderswan black and white version debuted in Japan at a price of 4,800 yen. All right, and
that's a lot of money, isn't it?
No, it sounds like a lot, but it's not. And so in American cash, that was $44.
Wow.
And in today's money, $66. Now, I had to look a couple places. I was like, this seems insanely low.
Yeah,
but as far as I can tell, this was their low ball effort. Now, the Wonderswan Color, when it launched, debuted at a price tag of 6,800 yen, which is $61 back in when it debuted, which was 2000, and that's $89 in today's money, so still under $100. And then the Wonderswan Crystal, the Swan Crystal, debuted at a price tag of 7,800 yen, $70 or $98 US today.
Wow.
So all these systems clocked in cheap. I believe the Game Boy launched over here right around $100, didn't it, back in the day? So I guess $66. If that's accurate, that's really astoundingly low.
Heck yeah.
The whole series was discontinued in 2003.
Yeah.
You want to take a guess on these are the combined numbers, but I've got the individual numbers. Just take a guess on how many combined Wonderswan line consoles were sold.
Well, considering it was Japan only.
Only in Japan.
And it was cheap.
Yeah.
I will say they moved 75,000 units.
Oh, way off. 3.5 million.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
The Wonderswan original sold at 1.55 million by itself, and the Color sold 1.1. So they sold quite a few of these. And get this, though. This, at its peak in Japan, it made up 8% of the total handheld market.
Wow.
So that goes to show you the numbers they were up against when it comes to the handheld market. I mean, Nintendo was dominating the hell out of it.
Of course, yeah.
This thing had 512 kilobits of RAM, and the Color version had sort of this FSTN screen, and then your Swan Crystal had sort of an LCD screen. All right. Now get this. Something else I thought was interesting. All these units ran on AA batteries.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So on the original Wonderswan, allegedly, you could get on a AA. You could get 40 hours of action. That was sort of their gimmick.
Wow.
The Color version, you would get 20, and the Swan Crystal, you'd get 15. You'd think the Swan Crystal you would get more action.
Considering the screen type.
So, Now, here's something that I think ties in nicely with what you picked this week. This was the last thing that Gunpei Yokoi developed.
Yes.
He developed it for Bandai, and right before he died in '97, this is what they were working on.
And we'll certainly get into that more later.
Yeah, sure. So, the Wonderswan is one of probably the first system we've looked at. Maybe. No, I take that back. Maybe the disc system. It was only released in Japan. There were no other releases anywhere in the world. And the thing was powered by a 16-bit central processing unit, and it used parts that were so cheap they could price it that low.
Right.
Now, it's amazing to me that they could price that thing that cheap.
I
looked and looked. I was like, this can't be right. And so, if anyone has heard otherwise, let me know. But I mean, to release something for $66, it really blows my mind. So, of course, the Wonderswan was a grayscale unit, the original. And
sure.
It gave way to a color unit. Having looked at both, now I full disclosure, I've never held a Wonderswan or played one, but I had to look, just had to do some research. And the Wonderswan was an interesting looking unit. The original, you could play it from your left or right hand. It was that kind of gimmick, which I believe the Lynx ended up being like that as well.
And you could also play the Wonderswan vertical or horizontal.
That's right. Which I believe you could also do that with the Lynx. That was another one of its gimmicks.
Yes, it was.
So the Wonderswan got a lot of third party action, which is surprising. And they got some stuff from Square, from Namco, and from Taito, among others. Which in the face of Nintendo, you would think, I don't know, I guess they thought this low end action could pay off. I guess, I have no idea what the numbers were on this one. To be honest with you, this was Gunpei's effort after the Virtual Boy, by the way, which was obviously he left Nintendo after that and started his own company,
although not related. He didn't leave because of the Virtual Boy. He left just due to retirement.
I would have left because of it. So when I just found some interesting tidbits here. When the Wonderswan was launched in Tokyo in '98, October 8th, Bandai chose the name of the system to get this. This is a quote, to highlight its aesthetics and technical capabilities, because the swan is recognized as an elegant bird with powerful legs that aid in its graceful swimming.
See, I thought maybe you would go with a neck thing, such it can make its neck grow tall or stick it out, and that was the vertical and horizontal.
I've watched a man be attacked by a swan.
I have as well.
It was live right there. I was set Johnny on the spot, and it was hilarious. These swans, they don't screw around.
No,
they'll bite you. They'll bill you.
You can't run from a swan. You got to stand your ground.
Yeah, I feel a lot like a swan a lot of the time. Because no matter which way
you poop a lot?
No, because no matter which way I turn, there's a big old bill in front of me. I love it. So, the Wonderswan, boy, they had to get their gimmick in, right? So when they launched this sucker, we had to have 9 colors. All right, 9. You got your pearl white, skeleton green.
Yeah, putrid skeletons. They're kind of green.
Silver metallic, skeleton red. Skeletons are over there.
So bloody skeletons.
Blue metallic, skeleton blue. Clearly, we were lost something here.
Cold skeletons.
Skeleton black. Camouflage, in case you need to hide your swan from hunters. And gold. That's clearly the choice. Now get this. That's not all, because this is Japan. So, and they were so far ahead of America, because now this is a big deal here. Remember when computers went through the space where they had to have all different colored computers? So stupid. Do you care what color your toaster is? No. Okay, so
a little bit.
I don't. Now they had 3 limited edition 2-tone models.
Of course.
Right. Now these were decided with an online poll at the website.
Those are always dead.
You got frozen mint, soda blue, and my personal favorite, sherbet melon. Sounds great. Not to be outdone by themselves, when they released the Wonderswan Color, time for more colors. So it got pearl blue, pearl pink,
I guess the skeleton's out and the pearl's in.
Crystal black, crystal blue, crystal orange. And according to launch numbers and from December 9th, 2000, the system sold 270,000 plus units after its first month of release. So the Color was a pretty popular unit right out of the gate-ish. So I thought that was cool. The funny thing is, right before they released the Wonderswan Color, Nintendo announced the Game Boy Advanced, which was superior in pretty much every way, except for possibly the fact that it didn't have
30
pearl
colors.
pink.
Well, although it did release with a ton of colors as well.
Oh yeah. So just a smidge about the very unusual Swan Crystal. Bandai once again went to its website for another case poll. Gotta have them. This one came in blue violet, red wine, red wine.
Wait, blue violet? Wouldn't that be
blue violet?
Wouldn't that be really close to the same color?
Listen, I might look like one of the guys on the poll. Crystal blue and crystal black.
I would say probably, yeah. I think you're very typical look for a poll person.
Anyway, it did horribly, and that was the end of the line, basically for that unit. So the labs over there, Koto Labs, which is of course they're the guys that designed it. They claim that the Wonderswan sold in its lifetime 10 million game cartridges. Pretty good.
That seems excessive.
Here's the not good.
For the number of consoles sold, that seems way up there.
Some people that didn't like the Wonderswan, and some of the things they didn't like was the lack of a headphone and AC port, because again, it ran on batteries.
The headphone thing I can certainly see. The AC port, if you got 40 hours, And
some other angles they didn't like was that you had to have basically the multiplayer was a hassle, and apparently they made some sort of adapter for a headphone that you couldn't have plugged in while you had the multiplayer gimmick plugged in. So it didn't have a true multiplayer, didn't have a true headphone port. It had some sort of what I'd like to call the Apple gimmick. So that you got to buy extra connectors. You got to have a jury-rigged calamity there.
So you're saying the Wonderswan was ahead of the iPhone for removing its headphone jack?
That can't be lost on me. Let's just put it that way. So a fascinating little gizmo, one that I'm going to look into picking up. If they've got a decent multi-card, I'm in. We had a look at 2 games on this bizarre little device, and I think Brent, we're going to let you lead the charge this week.
I'm going to start
with your
out.
Squiggly line game. Tell everyone about it.
All right. I chose Gunpei EX, which was...
Sounds great.
The original game was developed by the man himself, Gunpei Yokoi.
Now, it's spelled differently, though, isn't it?
It is, but it is definitely a direct homage to
Why did they spell it differently? Any idea?
Probably just respect.
That respects you if I misspell your name?
No, they didn't misspell his name. They just didn't.
Can I start calling you Brant?
Because they didn't want to go. You don't want to put someone's dead name on your card. That seems like you're selling out. Going off the popular, yeah. It seems like you're trying to.
But it's the same exact. It sounds exactly the same.
Well, I'm sure in Japan it's miles apart different.
I'm not buying it. Go ahead.
But Yokoi, huge name in the arcade or into the video game business. A lot of stuff I did not know about him. I found out while doing research for this. He actually started work at Nintendo in 1966 when they were still a card and toy manufacturer, and he was at his workstation doing his assembly job and whatnot. And he had made a little robotic arm, just killing time in between shifts and whatnot.
Who does it?
And his boss came by. He's like, "What's that? What are you doing there?" He's like, "Oh, I just screwed around, made a little arm." And his boss was like, "Yeah, get it ready by Christmas. We're selling it." So he was like, "Okay," and basically manufactured this to get sold for the Christmas rush, and it sold great. It was a huge seller, and that was his entire in that got his career rolling doing what he did. Of course, he went on to make a few other toys that not really something we know over here. The hand thing was called the Ultra Hand. He also made the 10 billion barrel puzzle.
The what?
The 10 billion barrel puzzle.
That sounds like a nightmare.
He's also responsible for a miniature remote controlled vacuum cleaner, a pitching machine called the Ultra Machine.
I like the naming. Everything's the Ultra or the Ultimate something.
He also is credited for making one of the first love testers.
Cheeky.
When he was at Nintendo's, they kind of shifted over to games. He shifted with them, and he said that his way of thinking was, you need to not always chase the newest technology. You need to take existing functional technology that you can do for cheap and get more out of it.
This is a Nintendo philosophy to this day.
And he ran with it, and it helped really launch a lot of things at Nintendo. He was one of the people who convinced Nintendo to completely disregard the Lynx. When the Lynx came in and tried to sell their product to them, they thought they had a surefire hit. He's like, no, it's going to be too expensive, and it's not going to have enough battery life. Let's stick with where we're going. And he was the one that really pushed for that black and white screen.
Plus the fact that the guys came in like jerks.
Well, that probably didn't help their case, for
He
sure.
was right there. You got to give him credit. He called that.
Before the Game Boy, he was the original creator of Game & Watch.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he got inspiration for that was he was traveling by train, which is common in Japan, and there was a businessman who was sitting in his seat, and he was bored, so he was just playing with his calculator. And he thought, we can take that type of technology and turn it into a gaming unit. And that's what they did.
Those things are kind of neat, too.
They are. They're very much so. He was also right there on the cutting edge. He was the one who supposedly gave Mario his superhuman jumping ability in Mario Brothers. He also pushed the multiplayer aspect of Mario Brothers, which in a way gave birth to Luigi. Saw over tons of games. He had Kid Icarus, Metroid, had Mario Brothers, of course. His only really failure at Nintendo was the Virtual Boy. And a lot of people think that the Virtual Boy pushed him out of Nintendo. That's not the case. He was set to retire when he was 50. And when the Virtual Boy hit and released, he was 56. So he was actually past time when he wanted to retire. And Nintendo, I'll have to say, they're not going to kill you off one failure, especially after he gave so much. Nintendo's, they're not that kind of company.
Also, the Virtual Boy, I think it could have been cool.
Well, that's funny you mentioned that. Yokoi, one of his big things that people speculated after his death was they pushed the Virtual Boy out too soon against his wishes, because he said that it wasn't ready. He made public statements that after it failed, of course, that he felt it was not ready.
He was right.
So what does this have to do with my game? He was the developer of the original Gunpei, which came out on the Wonderswan black and white version, which then got later ported to the Color. It also had a DS release, a PSP release. So he is given credit and homage to the game, even though he was never alive to see the release, because he was tragically killed due to a car accident in 1997.
Now, were these Japanese releases, I'm assuming? All the Gunpei games?
Yes.
They never got a US release?
Yes, they did.
Really?
The PSP made it, and the DS made it overseas. So what is Gunpei? It is a puzzle / Tetris style game where you have a 5 width, 10 high grid that you need to draw a horizontal line from the left side of your screen to the right side of your screen using nothing but lines. And the line pieces consist of a left slash, a right slash, a caret, and an upside down caret. The way the game plays that makes it difficult, because I mean otherwise it seems like that'd be easy, the pieces come up from the bottom in your standard game, and you have to get your line across before they reach the top. The challenge, and in my case, the real annoyance of this is, you know, like when you're waiting for a Tetris piece, a straight piece in Tetris, you're dying for it, and sometimes it never comes.
Yeah.
Well, that can happen on this. If you use your leftmost piece or your rightmost piece, which is crucial to getting your lines completed, you might not see another one until your whole structure is off the screen and you die. So you have to kind of manage your pieces, keeping them low, connecting multiple lines out of, instead of just going one across, have one branch into 2 or 3 lines, branch into 4 or 5, and get big blocks of lines. Because as long as you have a beginning and an end, anything in that middle that's connected will also clear when you clear your lines. And, of course, the bigger your structure, the more points you get. I did not like this game for that in this aspect of it. The go up the screen stage part of it, I didn't like it. You can only swap your tiles vertically, so you can move your pieces vertically up and down the screen and not horizontally. I had a lot of trouble. I did okay, but I had a lot of trouble using a piece too early and then never getting another piece to complete my lines. So that kind of annoyed me. However, Gunpei has tons of variety. You can play with the normal, which would be where the pieces go up the screen, but you also have a puzzle mode, and this is where this game shines. The puzzle mode says, here are your tiles, arrange them so you can clear all the tiles at one time. And the first 2 or 3 stages, you're like, well, this is easy, because you just put them in order and you're done. It gets ridiculously complicated in the later levels, because it's not just about getting from the left to right in the puzzle mode. It's getting them in the right order so that when you make that one flip, it connects all your lines at the same time. For example, if you have 6 pieces, and it only takes 5 to go all the way across the screen, well, you've got to get that 6th piece in there somewhere. And you can't just draw your 5 across the screen and then stick that 6th piece in. The 6th piece has to be a part of the overall puzzle. So in the puzzle mode, it's really easy to clear a line accidentally. And part of the puzzle aspect of it is clearing all the lines at the same time. I loved the puzzle aspect of it. Did you play the puzzle aspect at all?
I tried all the modes.
All right.
Oh, would you like me to elaborate?
Yes, yeah. That's good, Aaron.
I'll summarize my feelings on this particular puzzle game with 2 words. The 2 words that come to mind are ugly and boring.
No, see, I don't think that's fair.
It didn't do it for me. It looks like you're building like an EKG reading or a lie detector test across the screen.
Okay.
The graphics are, they're lines, and then there's some more lines.
Yes.
There's really no... They look like sort of CGA color.
Now, to be fair, this was a launch title for the Color, so they certainly didn't have the full grasp they needed.
If I had bought this game at launch of this brand new color system,
right,
I would be appalled.
Now, okay,
it's not colorful.
If you
could have rendered this in one color.
It's colorful.
Where?
What it is as colorful as it can be. Well, for example,
you just summarized that. Yeah, exactly. I'm listening. It is what it is. You build a line, a squiggly line that goes across the screen.
Now, to be fair, wait. I want to say something here before you go on. The way that this game usually really used its color screen was you earned color backgrounds as you played. I don't know if you played long enough to actually get one of those. It's a little bit of way in.
Yeah, no kidding.
But and then those are the backgrounds behind your grid as you play.
Well, that's dandy. This is a brand new color version of your portable.
Yeah.
The squiggly line game with the static pictures don't cut it, brother.
No.
Come on, brother.
You're missing the whole
Tetris
point.
did the same thing.
You are a
hold on. Tetris did the same thing.
You're being a graphics snob.
No,
this game wasn't about the
Tetris
graphics.
did the same thing where you after you got to a certain level, the backdrop would change. Right? It's not like they're reinventing a wheel here.
No, I'm not saying that.
You know,
but
now,
I'm saying
is it no? It all comes
to
down
hate
to
the game because it's not colorful enough. It's stupid.
I'm not saying I hated it because it wasn't colorful enough, and I don't hate it. I just found it boring. You connect a line across the screen. Now, there are multiple modes and whatnot, and some may be better than others. But in the end of the day, you connect a line or lines, they go across the screen. It just didn't do it for me. I'll be honest with you. Now, if I was on a bus, on a train, a bullet train, heading from Kyoto to Okinawa, which you can't do because there's ocean there. But I would maybe have this game on there, but I would not want to play this because I would fall asleep on the train.
It's a puzzle game. If you're wanting hardcore action, you're not going to get it here because it's a puzzle game.
You're not going to get softcore action. You get no action.
No, this is an okay game.
Yeah.
It's got tons of mode. It's got puzzle mode. It's got endless mode. It's got
endless mode. Sounds like you've been sent to the hot place. If you had to play this endlessly and throughout time, what did I do, Lord, to deserve to play this throughout time? You get a colored screen.
No,
so it's like, it's not good enough.
No, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. I'm not going to sing this game's high
the
praises.
first thing you said was, I didn't like this game.
No, I didn't like that mode, and I didn't like that mode at all. I didn't play it more than 3 or 4 times. It was just too stressful for me. I preferred the slow, more thought-provoking puzzle mode, which I played for hours.
Plotting. I think it's the word you were looking for. The slow plotting puzzle mode.
Anyway, this game reviewed pretty much all over the charts.
Just like the lines.
Ba-dum-boom. It ranked as high as 4 out of 5. It got a 33 out of 40.
Whose scale is that?
Yeah, that's Japanese scale for you. The lowest I saw was a 5 out of 10, which I don't know if I'd put this low, but I wouldn't. You know what? That's about where I would rate it. I would say it's about a 5 out of 10. So you would give it an
F?
No.
That's 5 out of 10's an F.
No, I used the whole scale.
What does that mean?
So
5 out of 10 is a F. Failure.
I'm not IGN. My scale doesn't start at 6 and go to 10.
You've got a price. What are you talking about?
Well, that's true. Some other features about this game. It made use of the mobile Wonder Gate. So you could...
Whoa!
Yeah. The Wonder Gate is a peripheral that plugs into the side of your Wonderswan Color.
Yeah.
And allows you to hook up a cell phone to it and use it as a modem.
Sounds elegant.
Well, I don't know how much play that got over in Japan, but it was commercially available. And you could play people, via basically a modem connection.
Uh-huh.
But the WonderGate also allowed you to send email, surf the web to a limited degree. So
can you imagine? You get your Wonderswan Color, you've got your gimmick, Wondergate.
Uh-huh.
The first thing is, let's play some multiplayer Gunpei. Let me tell you something. There's nobody playing this online. You're boned.
Dude, I'm telling you, this is a big thing over in Japan. This is a very popular game. They made versions of it all the way up into 2007. So, you don't keep releasing a game if it's not
that was 11 years ago, right?
Well, yeah, but
how much can you do with a squiggly line game?
The game originally came out in 1999, and they were re-releasing
it ran for 8 years.
On different systems for 8 years. That's pretty good, man.
Postal ran longer than that, and it was god-awful. I'm just saying.
That's ridiculous.
That's
a ridiculous comparison. On eBay, Loose Cart you can get this anywhere between $15 and $20.
They're going to pay you to take it?
Boxed, you can get anywhere between $35 and $60. So quite a wide range for the game.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was a launch title. I think for a launch title, for the type of puzzle game it was, although it had horrible sound. The music was too frantic for what you were doing, in my opinion.
Is that what stressed you out about it, partially?
I kind of think it was.
I thought the music was okay. Wonderswan had decent sound. I thought it had decent sound.
It was too... It didn't match what was going on, especially when you're playing in puzzle mode. And when I was playing puzzle mode, I would sit back, and I would think, I was like, man, this isn't possible. This can't be done. And then I start thinking longer. I see where it can happen, and then it's just a matter of getting all the pieces in the right order. Because, like I said before, if you connect it too early, you connect and lose half your puzzle, and then you lose. So
it's funny. I had a revelation when I was playing some puzzle mode as well. I was like, my God, I have found the cure for insomnia.
No, you know what I think it is? I think your brain is not capable of handling this type of puzzle, and therefore you didn't have any fun.
I think that might be right.
All right.
I'm just too dumb.
Let's take a look. Let's take a look at Final Lap Special, which is another game that's probably overstayed its welcome in the realm of gaming.
Oh, no, you're jumping the gun on me here. Let's talk about Final Lap Special. You got to say it like that.
No, you certainly
No one's saying Gunpei. No one's saying that. They're going Gunpei. Here it is. Here's some guilt. What do you got over there? Well, I got Gunpei.
It's Gunpei EX.
Yeah. So, Final Lap Special. What a game this turned out to be, right?
Oh, I'd like to know where you're going with this.
Well, no, and I'll hold the phone here. So, a lot of people are asking themselves, Aaron, you're not a racer. Why would you?
No, you are not.
Why would you pick Final Lap as your Wonderswan game? Well,
I unfortunately knew the answer.
Yeah, me and Brent were the proud owners of a non-functional Final Lap 2-player arcade cockpit machine. We held that thing for how many years? Several years in the basement of Doom.
Yeah.
Where it sat, collecting dust.
It was a beast.
It was a monster.
It was a double-screen, double-seated, and that thing didn't come apart, did it?
No. The seats came off, but that was it.
So,
it was a monster.
2 monitors, 2 seats, 2 racing wheels, connected, sitting in my basement, unplayable for 4 or 5 years.
It did play blind.
It did play blind, which is the reason why we could sell it for decent money.
I'm going to work my way up to my Wonderswan Color game. Let's talk about the arcade game Final Lap so you can get a little background, right? So it was developed by Namco and published in Japan by Namco, but it actually got an American release, obviously, from Atari in the arcade. And it actually came out on the NES as a card, apparently, which I did not know. This came out in 87 and in 88 here in the States. And one of the claims to fame of this game was it was one of the first racing games, it may have been the first, that allowed you to have up to 8 simultaneous players on the game, which is remarkable if you think about it.
How could you get 8 people to play this?
Well, no, wait a minute. It was a decent game.
I did not like it.
So, Final Lap, basically, it was like Atari, in its mind, when it distributed, thought, okay, here's the natural progression of pole position.
Yes, that's exactly what they thought.
That's what they did. And it is very similar to pole position. It's a racing game where you, like I said, the one we had was you sat down in the racing seat, you had the gear shift. It's funny, the steering wheel was as generic as they come.
Yes.
That was one thing that was disappointing.
Free spinning.
Yeah, it was not a big deal. And I think it had a low and a high gear, just like pole position did. And it was a Formula One racer, and you hopped in this sucker, and you picked your car, and you took off, and it had multiple tracks. So it had several sequels in Japan, the arcade version. Final Lap 2 came out in 90. It added some different tracks. Final Lap 3 came out in 92. And then Final Lap R came out in 93. And all these basically were releasing various, but had more, it's like more of the same, basically, right?
And you should probably step back and say this was a 2D sprite racer.
Right. It was a think pole position with updated graphics, slightly updated sound, and 8 players, or less. So like I said, we had a twin, so you could do that. And the others were basically more of the same. So not a bad thing. Pole Position was a great game. Pole Position 2 was even better, except unless you have to try to keep them running, in which case you've got a problem. Now, Final Lap ran on the Namco 2 board, which was a better board.
A way better board.
So if you fly, and amazingly, some of these future Final Laps got ported. The TurboGrafx got a port. And get this. The TurboGrafx version was called Final Lap Twin, which was a racing RPG. Now that would be interesting.
I've actually seen that played on a live stream. It's silly.
Is it like the golf RPGs?
No, it's not nearly that good. No, gosh, no.
So it also got Final Lap also got a couple ports to guess what? The Wonderswan, which brings us to Final Lap 2000. Final Lap 2000. So this was released March 23rd, 2000 for the original Wonderswan. It was the black and white grayscale number, right? Now, and I had to go with this just to say I did. So this had a bunch of modes that was cool. But one of the things I really liked about it was it had a track editor, which is funny because we just talked about motocross.
Although its track editor was not nearly as, I don't know, robust.
Which one are you talking about?
The one for Final Lap.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was simple, but still, it let you do it. And it had a world tour and an arcade, a time trial mode. Same gimmick, F1 racer. You hop in there, take off, and the graphics were pretty good. I mean, for black and white, it looked okay. The car was nice and big.
Oh yeah,
the sense of speed was good. The control was okay.
Loose.
It was okay though.
It was loose.
All right, it was okay. And I guess this thing did well enough to get a sequel. Now, and it was pretty popular. GameSpot amazingly covered this. I couldn't believe it. Gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Pretty good for the black and white version.
Okay.
So flash forward to 2001, and we come finally to Final Lap Special. Again, this was developed and published by Namco Bandai. They did it themselves. This was a one-player game with a butt, which I'll get to. This is pretty much the only racing game on the Wonderswan Color. Yes. I think pretty much the Final Lap games are about the only racing games on all the Wonderswan.
Well, Wonderswan had a very narrow game type base.
It did.
When I was looking for things to play, it had a lot of strategic turn-based combat games.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
And I think there's a lot of role-playing stuff in there,
and
too.
And a lot of role-playing stuff.
So, Final Lap Special. This is blind sheer luck, by the way. This is one of the only games on the Wonderswan or the Wonderswan Color, along with Final Lap 2000, that's completely in English.
Although,
that was great.
I want to state, so was Gunpei.
Well, yeah. So, now this one, the full title of this one is actually Final Lap Special GT plus Formula Machine.
Makes sense.
Okay? So what they did in this one is they added the ability to have like a GT racing along with the Formula One racing. So you can basically pick the style of racing you want. Now I'm no racing guy, you know. I've played Sega GT Rally or whatever, and so this is obviously not that.
No.
But this one gives you the choice. You've got 2 modes in this. You've got championship, and first of all, you've got a mode in each. There is no crossover.
That would be really dumb.
Well, I guess not, but I just want to make that clear. So you pick, and either one of these, you get 2 choices after you pick the car type you want. You got championship, and you've got time attack, and you've got the car shop where you can take and buy new cars. So when you play this game, it's very similar to the original Wonderswan game, with a few exceptions, and I think they're actually are a detriment to this game, which is funny. Number one, I found of course the Final Lap 2000 does not have the GT racing. Okay, so I'm talking about the F1 stuff right now. The car seems bigger in the first one.
It was,
and it helps you see better. And it seems when you're hitting those turns, the first one seems I like to control a little bit better.
The first one, the black and white one, was a tighter track. It was tighter controls. Now, although they were both sloppy loose.
When I played the very first time I played Final Lap 2000, I finished first on the first track. Okay, the very first time I played Final Lap Special, I finished third on the oval track, the big oval, and which was good. I thought that's pretty good. But then you get into the more advanced tracks, and I played on beginner the entire time.
Right.
It also gives you the option of automatic or standard. Now remember, keep this in mind. This is only a low gear, high gear game.
Yeah.
Never ever should you play. I never thought I'd say this, but you should never play automatic.
No,
because you need the downshift into these curves.
The curves,
right? Yeah. I tried automatic, and basically automatic is once you get up or your RPMs build up, you're at high.
Yeah,
that's it. So I don't recommend it.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
When you go into these never-ending curves that you get into, you really feel like it does not feel like a proper racing game should to me. Your car can turn almost sideways.
Yes.
And your wheels are spinning. It's just real goofy. It feels good, loose and goofy.
You know those motorized games where you set it down and you just kind of wiggle the car back and forth as the.
I love those. Yeah.
I would much rather play that than this again.
Oh man, it wasn't that bad.
It was. It had no features that made me want to play it. The driving in it was so sloppy and so loose. Formula One cars are these turn on a dime super things where it's all about speed control and slow into the corner, fast out. None of that was present.
Well,
it was like a sloppy rad racer where your car the curves were so stupid.
Well,
they were so stupid.
I don't think it was that bad.
It was a 4 out of 10.
Part of it is there are multiple cars. You can pick some that have a better grip, better speed.
But that's not the problem.
Well, I mean, they do make a difference. They do. I'm just telling you, they do.
The track in this game is like 7 car lengths wide.
It's a very wide track. Yeah.
So there's no precision. There's no slowing down for the curves, except for the ones that are like S curves. I did not enjoy the game. I did not enjoy how it played. I didn't, and when I went for the track editor for the color one, it wasn't there.
Yes, they didn't have that. The another thing that I thought was interesting about it, and you touched on this, was the width of the track compared to the size of your car. The first one felt more. Slightly more realistic.
It was closer,
and really the first one, the illusion of speed was kind of the way they did it was pretty neat. I mean, it actually looked kind of cool. The second one looks. I mean, don't get me wrong, they look okay. I mean, again, this is a very cheap handheld that you're playing this stuff. When it looks okay, it sounds okay, but when those turns, they do kill it. It's almost like you don't really drift in an F1.
You certainly
do
not.
But this was sort of like, it's what it sort of reminded me of. And the funny thing is,
know what they call drifting in F1?
Dying.
Crashing.
Yeah. And when you play the GT cars, they're less wide.
Yeah.
And they feel also strange to me. And they're even more loosey-goosey than the F1.
Yeah. They feel like you're driving a Citation around.
It's very, well, I had a Citation.
Yeah.
I like that thing. But the corners on this are odd. I mean, they really are. Now, but this is one of those games where there's once you understand the game, right, and how it's going to play, you could actually adapt yourself to do okay and understand. I mean, you have to play the hand you're dealt. Did I like the way they did the curves? I did not. But you could get there. And I managed to get okay at the game. You get enough money, you can buy cars, and the cars are different. This game, again, as Brent said, did not have the track editor, but it did have multiplayers via the multiplayer adapter. So you could play 1 or 2 players racing, which would be cool. But this is another one of those games where you may never see the person you're racing.
Yeah, racing. I hate racing multiplayer games.
One thing this had that was a good thing and a bad thing was the rear view mirrors on it.
Oh, you had to have it.
Well, they have them and they're fine. But the problem is, like a lot of the tracks, the background sky, where they blend in to the rearview mirrors, and it's so I'll be driving along, and all of a sudden I'll just see this thing pop up in the sky. I'm like, oh God! And it's the rearview mirror. It's a guy behind me, but it's a real weird. I probably would have done it that way. I probably would have. I mean, again, we've got to consider what you're using, but I wouldn't have used the same color. I wouldn't have had the rearview mirrors effectively be just like basically I just took lines and drew out a mirror in the sky and then put stuff in there. And that was kind of weird.
When you wreck, if you wreck in this game, and you're trying to get back up to speed, the racers coming up behind you will just plow you over and over. Just plow right into you and wreck you again. And you see them coming in that rearview mirror, and there's nothing you can do.
I wondered about the collision detection a little bit on some of it, because I would have bet $1 million that I would have ran over a guy, but it kept me going. Now I know there's a lot of bumping and chucking and jiving in F1, but I would have, so that may be a little suspect. Something else that the first one had was it would have these chicks come out at the beginning of the race, which I like that kind of. I like the little touches, and the second one didn't have really the touches that the first one did. I didn't think. It had these screens where, like, when you won, and have this like backdrop and then champagne and trophies and cityscape and stuff. But I mean, it wasn't anything special.
Yeah,
despite the name.
The only touch this game had was bad touch.
I think you're being way too hard on it. I don't think it was that bad.
Here's what I think. I think the reason why the Wonderswan Color and all this Wonderswan line had so many RPGs and turn-based tactical games is it couldn't push a lot of fast frames through the system. So games like this had to take shortcuts, had to make smaller sprites, that sort of thing. And I think this game was a limitation of the system.
I think to a certain extent. But I mean, there were some things going for it. Right? I thought the music was okay. I like the sound. Now, the sound on it was sound was sort of utilitarian.
I mean, the engine noise was god awful.
Well, I mean, it wasn't god awful.
Oh man, all the time.
I didn't like the sound of going around in curves, but that just could be because I didn't like the curves. When you pick the cars look cool in the little menu. They look they're well rendered.
Boy, you're reaching.
Well, I'm just saying they do look good, man. This game also had three mini games in it. Now, these games were readily available. So the mini games they're not that good, to be honest with you. So you've got one where it starts you on a track, and you just take off. You're up to speed, and then you have to dodge rocks that are just on the track. And this one the way you play this game is you see how far you can go.
Yeah.
All right, and now that's something. I
mean,
And then and once you hit one, that's the end of that one, right? Then you've got one, and this one I had to figure out what the hell was going on. Where you're hitting cones, like traffic cones. Mm-hmm. Some cones good, some cones bad. And so you've got a timer that's ticking down. And if you hit certain cones, they give you time. If you hit red cones, it hoses your car and it slows you down. I thought that was of the mini games. That was probably the most deepest one. I thought that was pretty. And then they've got one that was just. They really lost on the third one here. The third one was stay on the track. And so they give you this, the only time in the game where the narrowest of tracks appears, and you've got to keep, and you're on both sides of it is ocean, and you got to keep your car from flying off the track. Now it's a little bit forgiving, and this is another one. It just takes you for distance. Now, if you're on the train or whatever, and you just start, I got 5 seconds here to screw around. There might be okay, but I mean. They're not much to them, I guess is what I'm saying.
If you're on the train playing this game, the person beside you is going to beat you with a ball bat.
Well, that's
because that endless engine noise is real annoying.
That's why you have the appropriate headset adapter for that. That's pretty much the long and short of the game. I mean, championship mode, you just play until you lose.
Right.
Or don't come in the top 3. And then game over. Time attack is just exactly what it sounds like. Now, I ended up besting my times a lot. And once I played this for a bunch of times, I was getting to the point. I'm no racing aficionado, but I was getting to the point where I could do pretty well on it. It was okay. But I talked to myself, like, is this a game you would come back and play for fun.
Absolutely not.
Well, I mean, I would play it before I play Gunpei.
No,
but,
I wouldn't.
But,
you got to be kidding me.
Well, because I thought it was okay. Again, you've got to consider when it was released and what it was doing. This is a nice pseudo 3D racer on a cheapo system. And I thought it looked okay.
I played Gunpei for multiple hours in puzzle mode alone. I played, and I made people out in YouTube land and podcast land can say I didn't give Final Lap enough chance because I only played it for about 40 minutes.
Well, you probably saw it all.
Yeah, I just didn't have fun.
I actually found some reviews for Final Lap Special.
All right.
Defunct Games gave it a B-.
That's generous.
Games TZ gave it a B. I would probably give it a well, again, what is average on the Wonderswan, I don't know. But I would probably, I don't know, I mean, as far as portable games go, it's okay. It's not that, it's a portable racing game. Your choices are limited. And it is, as they say in the UK, it does what it says on the tin. You've got these two types of cars. You can, varieties of cars you can choose from. You can play the game. You can play multiplayer. It's got a few mini games that thrown in for no extra cost. I thought it was okay. If you're looking to pick this bad boy up, I priced all these. Final Lap Special was going for between $9 and $130. Yeah, but I haven't seen I couldn't find anything recently for sale.
That's insane.
Final Lap 2000. I found a new in-box copy for $50. And then a box copy for $38. So, and just in case you're wanting to pick one of these up, I looked to see what the Wonderswan itself was going for. Now, you can get a working color Wonderswan from Japan from between $50 and $60 plus shipping. Your shipping will vary. You can get an original black and white one for like $30 or $40. There's not a huge difference in the price. I didn't see any of the LCD ones. So
any of the crystals.
Yeah, so I don't know what the scoop is on those. But overall, and I went through the Wonderswan titles, and I'll be honest with you, this is not the system for me. No. And I say that not because it's in Japanese, because I'll listen. And by the way, the Wonderswan did get a Fire Pro Wrestling release, which I almost picked, but it wasn't in color. Most of the games on here are games that I probably wouldn't play. They're games based on properties that I'm not interested in, like your Final Fight or help me out here. Final Fantasies and that sort of that genre. Your strategy stuff that's unplayable because it's in Japanese. I'll dig into the Japanese language barrier on some things that I'm real passionate about, but I didn't see a whole lot that came up on the title list, and there weren't a ton of titles for this thing that were released. I don't know, it was somewhere in the 70s,
80s, yeah.
So it's not, probably something that I wouldn't fiddle with much. I mean, you can see why the Game Boy smoked it. Because even the original Game Boy had a good variety of stuff. Of course, it was released over here, so they had stuff more aimed at Americans as well.
Right.
And then the Game Boy Advance. If this thing came out right as the Game Boy Advance was announced, this reminds me of when the Dreamcast was out and the PlayStation 2 was released.
Yeah.
You knew it was boned, and boned it was.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Unfortunately, like you mentioned, the Wonderswan library. If the games were in English, I actually would probably have picked a role-playing game.
Yeah.
Just because I know this show never does role-playing games, and neither does any other of the Amigos properties.
We just did one, though.
For the most part. But they were all in Japanese. All of the strategy games were in Japanese. In fact, I went through a video that had all the games being played, and I specifically looked for one that was language neutral, which kind of was what led me to Gunpei.
Well, I just got lucky. I didn't do that much research. I just happened to have. We used to own a Final Lap, and that's what led me here.
Yeah.
So, with all that in mind, it's time to move along and hit the music.
Oh, it's time, isn't it? Get the wheel out.
So, what do we added this week, Brent?
We added Williams, which is a category that says anything that Williams has developed or produced is fair game. It's kind of a new spin, new take on the wheel. New spin on the wheel.
I get it.
All right.
Spin the wheel, make the deal.
Woo! Heck of a spin.
Rock and rolling.
Heck of a spin.
What do you feel this week? Got a press?
Doss. I feel it.
All right. I don't know if we're going to go. Whoa.
Super Nintendo.
Holy smokes.
Holy
that has been on
moly.
there forever.
Hey, I'm right. Super Nintendo is my jam, so I'm ready for that. Although that phrase "my jam" is not my jam.
No, that was ill-advised phrasing there. So, I suppose next week we'll be picking games from the incredibly huge and vast landscape of titles. Now,
yes.
Tell the folks just before we go that you obviously you had a Super Nintendo when you were younger.
Yes.
Yeah. It's funny. I only recently picked one up in the past couple of years myself, and I played with yours a little bit, but
a little bit.
Well, I mean, I didn't play that much like you, but we played a lot of Street Fighter.
We played a lot of Street Fighter.
So next week we're going to be delving into the Super Nintendo. Should be an interesting show.
Yeah, should be a good one.
Thanks for joining us, and again, we want to remind you that. If you'd like to hear the podcast, we do have an RSS feed, and we have this available in audio form as well as on YouTube. And we appreciate you stopping by. And next week, Super Nintendo. And until then,
hit the eject button.